السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة.
Should we start? What do you think? Abdullah is here to come. Anyone else? Uh, Only seven came, so 50% attendance. Are you sleeping?
We'll wait
Okay.
five
Should
minutes.
we wait for 5 or 10 minutes more?
Five minutes.
Okay, that's right. Inshallah.
Sir, you can start now.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
We may start now, right?
Yes.
So I'm starting with a question. What do you understand about risk? How do you define risk?
Risk.
Yes. What do you understand about risk?
Risk is anything that impact your project.
Risk is
It's anything that impact your project performance.
okay.
Risk is something that has a potential threat to something.
Excellent. Anyone else? Have you seen the Titanic movie? Anyone?
Right?
Have you seen this kind of ship on the river?
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes.
See, this is the Titanic, the ship Titanic. Have you heard the name?
Yeah, Titanic.
Yep.
Then again,
Have you heard this?
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Do you know that it was shrink? The ship maker told at the early days before making the ship, I cannot conceive of any vital disaster happening to this ship vessel. Modern shipbuilding has gone beyond that. RMS Titanic Captain Edward Smith in 1907 he told about this, but unfortunately it has it was a disaster. Anyway, so I am just so today we are going to discuss about the terms of risk and what we understand about risk management, what we understand about upside and downside risk, pure risk and business risk. Then we are going for this fundamental formula for pricing risk. The meaning of pricing or is kind of valuation. Okay, so what we understand the impact of COVID, right? Now impact of COVID is going on coronavirus. We are not doing in any physical class. We are even doing the homework from home. we are doing office from home. So, but uh, we cannot do everything from home, right? Because we have to run the production cycle, we have to run the machine. So some people will come to the office, and we are telling every day that some people is going to make risk, make their life risky. So how we can understand or measure the risk, the value of the risk, that will inshallah will try to make it understand. And then identify 2 ways to manage pure risk and the 4 ways to manage business risk, different steps of project management process, and why it is necessary to update risk management plan throughout the project life cycle. And at last we'll identify the 3 categories of risk management cost. So if I just start with the definition of risk, what I said, we probably heard about the word hazard, right? We heard about the hazard. The hazard is not a risk. Hazard is anything that can cause injury, illness, property damage, or loss of material. For example, this is the cause. Uh, uh, there could have some fire. If you go to the fire, if you go near to the fire is the hazard. So if you go near to the fire, you are risking your life, right? So if we go near to the hazard, then we are prompting the risk. So risk is the probability and the severity of a worker being harmed by the hazard. I hope you understand the difference between hazard and risk. So sometimes we usually tell that hazard and risk are same in some occasionally, but these are not same. Risk is purely different thing from hazard. So how do we define risk? Merriam-Webster dictionary defined risk as the possibility of loss or injury, a personal thing, that is a specified hazard. Princeton Wordnet, a source of danger, a possibility of incurring loss or misfortune. Wikipedia is saying the deviation of one or more result of one or more future events from their expected value, and the value may be positive or negative. This is mostly applicable for the share market. In my yesterday's discussion, I told you about the share market. If you just I'm here you see the Dhaka Stock Exchange. So here is the yesterday I talked about you DSE. So if you go to the link on your mobile phone or your laptop, you will see www.dscbd.org. In this way, there are some stock market in New York, in London, and in different locations. So these are actually the, so if you see, if I just show you, I'm going to show you, here is the latest share price of some of the for example Renata, BATC, Marico. These are the change percent change and the date. Here is the yield they are going to produce, share price by their trading code. So here you change, you see the changes. Yesterday the closing price was 3,161. Today it was 3,165. So here is the index. Why I am going to show you, why I am showing you this, the deviation of one or more result of future events. So if you expect that the share price of Racket will be 5,000 tomorrow, that means you are expecting 5,000 taka, right? But actually the share price is 3,000. For example, tomorrow it will become 3,500. So there is a deviation of 1,500 between your expectation and actual price of the Racket Bangladesh share. That is the difference. That is what we talk about, the deviation. Okay. And then dictionary.com says exposure to the chance of injury or loss or hazard or dangerous chance. The last but the most prominent and most important for us as we follow the project management book of knowledge, PMBOK guide. Risk is an uncertain event or condition that if it occurs has an effect on at least one project objective. So for example, in the last couple of days we have some Amphan. Have you heard the name? The natural disaster came to our northern part, Amphan. So there was a storm, and nowadays it is going for we have the coronavirus. So if any of these kind of events have any effect on your project or my project, my class was hampered, my, for example, we could not make the construct the bridge, or we could not construct a building, that means it is affecting our project objective. If there was no COVID, we would be able to complete all these workshops, even even in probably in within the time of Ramadan, right? So these are the, that means we are changing the outcome. Why? Because there was a risk. So that is how we define the risk. Risk is an uncertain event or condition that if it occurs has an effect on at least one or the at least one project objective. Okay. So when we are talking about the risk, sometimes we say that, oh, I don't want to take the risk because there is no profit. Actually, this is not going to make it. If I want to do the business, if I want to sustain, if I want to live in this world is full of risk. Every day we are exposing ourselves with the risk. Okay. So successful risk takers are often praised and lauded. But there is another side of the coin is 80% of the businesses fail within 5 years, but the leaders of the remaining 20% maybe become rich. Here I have given an example of a post. For example, we use this kind of what I can say. This is a note, right? Probably you have seen in my office, and also you, some of the you guys, you. So what happens in 1968? Mr. Spencer Silver, he discovered a glue which is not very much sticky. Rather, it is low kind of glue. So it is a temporary glue, but unfortunately he in his lifetime he could not use it, and after 5 years his colleague, another colleague, where while he was in research, he was trying to set some paper on the wall, but he could not take it. Later on, he was that some sticky, some kind of glue was in the shelf. So he used that glue for temporarily for those papers. And he later on in 1974, he made the marketing of that sticky note. We use it sticky note or post-it, right? So it took around 5 to 6 years to market the this kind of small things in market. Okay. So can you tell me one thing? Is this true? Kindly answer. Risk equal uncertainty. Is this correct? Uh, Abbas is online or anyone else. If you hear me, kindly unmute your mic and try to answer so we can make it participating, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So is this correct?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
How many is telling that it's correct?
Me.
Everyone? So every one of you is agree that risk equal to uncertainty, right? But unfortunately, I disagree. Risk is not equal to uncertainty. Risk is that part of uncertainty that is matter to us. You already told, you see, when you came from Somalia to Bangladesh, you come with some kind of risk, right? Definitely, you while there are some accident, there are some regular plane crash. So we see that you enter in the plane by taking the risk of crashing, but you did not count it for your life. So that is not risk. So if that is matter, that is concern for us, only that part of the uncertainty is a risk. Okay. The
Yes.
world is full of uncertainty. We may die tomorrow or we may die after this class. But we are not concerned about, mostly concerned about that. Rather, we are concerned, we think that risk is that part which is better for us. Okay, so when we feel that we should we need some kind of backup, we make some investment, right, in our pocket. So that is
Yes.
the risk part. So if we can count the probability, I am going to the next slide. How we measure the risk then? Risk is an uncertain event or condition. We have already defined it. That if it occurs, have a significant impact. So there are two conditions, you see. There are two conditions. Number one is uncertainty and the effect. Uncertainty is measured as a likelihood or probability of the event. The probability. Okay. So the probability, uncertainty, these are different things. Sometimes we know the effect, and the other time we do not. We are uncertain. For example, in current time, we don't know about the impact of the coronavirus. Every day there are some changes. Okay. So how we can measure it? This is how we can do it. Risk equal to probability and impact multiplied by the impact. So what we do, we calculate the probability and we calculate the impact. Okay. If we multiply with these things, we get the risk, the value of the risk. For example, do you see my board in my back?
Yeah, sir.
Okay. If you can see the board, I am going to the board to describe the calculation of the risk. We may think that we have a risk of 33% or 30% risk if we go out now. Do you see the writing right here? So if there is a probability 30% chance that if we go out at current time, we may we may get stuck with the coronavirus. So the chance is 30%. Okay. So if I get stuck with the coronavirus every day, for example, I will lose 10,000 taka. Okay. So the value of risk. So this is what the probability equal to, and the effect is here. So risk equal to 30% into 10,000 taka. Okay. That means 3,000. The value of risk for my going outside is 3,000 taka. Do you see the board? If you don't see the board, I can write kindly reply, so I can make you understand.
That is better, sir.
Okay. Okay. So if I cannot evaluate the value the risk, then there are other way. Yesterday we have shown how we can make the evaluation, right? The evaluation. So we may give some point 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So if we see that there is a high impact, okay, high impact, and this is actually the likelihood, meaning is the probability. So it's the same thing. Okay. And this is what I have. So if you can evaluate, for example, if there is a 60% chance, why we are avoiding the gatherings? Because it increases the chance of going confrontation with the coronavirus. That's why. So if we are at home, we are unlikely to be impacted, inshallah. Okay. This is how we measure the risk. There are two kinds of there are different kind of risk, obviously, but for our purposes, we say that the pure risk and the business risk. Okay, what is pure risk? Pure risk is an insurable risk. Why we say, and there is no other outcome. Only the outcome is the negative. So pure risk, if I broke my leg, okay, uh, do you know that we can insure our car? Car insurance is there, and there are some health insurance as well. So if we feel odd, we may take our risk, pure risk. So only if there is a fire, uh, if there is any fire in an area, there will be negative outcome. Okay, so outcome will be negative. So we will be able to do, we will be able, we will lose many things. Okay, that is the pure risk. Okay, my dear students and brothers, we need to go for a break for 5 to 10 minutes. So after 10 minutes, by this time, we may complete our Asr prayer. It is 4:40. So I will come back, and you also make sure that you complete your prayer.